Hey, Jacob here, Authentic Gay Blog. This is hopefully the last video about the care review, and this one is about leaving care. Okay, so when I was 18, I left the care system basically, and that was the age of which you had to leave the care system whether you were ready or not. I was given £35 to start me off. Now, £35 at the time was 1 week's rent. That was deemed enough to set me up in life. Now, in the normal family environment, when you leave home, it's normally a process that happens over a period of time where you build up resources, your family support you. I know this doesn't happen for everyone, but in the vast majority of cases it does. So I don't want to hear, well, this didn't happen, that didn't happen to that person. I'm talking about generally, okay? So there's a lot of support and help. Now, if you remember, in the first video I gave out the statistics, okay? The 7 times more likely to die before the age of 25, the 40 times more likely to be homeless, 40 times more likely to be in the criminal justice system, the 30 odd times more likely to be selling sex or involved in sex exploitation or being sexually exploited is more the case. Now that is for a reason. That happens because of lack of support and failures within the system to adequately support that young person through the transition in time of leaving the care system and going into the real world and being independent. Now, there is an absolute cut-off point where there is no more support for that individual, that care experienced individual. It used to be 18, now it was extended to 21 for people who are in foster care. And then it was extended further to 25 in regards to help and support made available. You don't stay in the care system till you're 25. You absolutely have to have left by the age of 21. In residential care, it's still 18. And in many cases, there are 16 and 17-year-olds who are placed in flats and accommodation on their own. Okay, so when I used to do my talks and my presentations, which I'm very good at in my previous job, I always asked the question to the audience, who the majority of them were women, because that's the nature of the various sectors I was working across, the leaving care sector and the health sector. At what age did you tell your children they could no longer contact you and they couldn't come home, and that maybe you would meet them for a coffee once in a while if you had the time and they were lucky, and you would absolutely not provide them any more financial support? Obviously, a ripple of laughter would go through the audience and they would say, well, we don't. And then many of them would get it. And I say, so do you understand the point I'm making? And they're like, yes. I say, well, for us in the care system, there is a point where we get absolutely fuck all support from anyone in any way, shape or form, you know, and that is, for some it's a blessing because it means they're free, but for many it's not a blessing because it means they're absolutely, completely on their own. And if they fuck up or something goes wrong, or, you know, for example, in numerous cases where they were on benefits and they didn't turn up for their DWP appointment and then they got sanctioned and the benefits were stopped, the housing benefit was stopped, they lost their accommodation, end up homeless, you know, all of these things. A majority feel very, very isolated away from the world. And when I was doing at CLA, I did numerous consultations of young people leaving the care system Excuse me, I've got a bit of brain fog today. So, leaving the care system and asking them what they want. Many, a lot, said if it was a choice of the grants and someone still coming in to check on them, see how they were after they'd left, after the cut-off point, they would take the support. Many do get a grant, and this could be a couple of £1,000, but a couple of £1,000 does not furnish a new flat, nor does it give you company, especially when you come to think of the fact that many young people are moved out of their original area, have moved several times, so they don't have any stable, secure relationships in their life in terms of people who are in their network. We all have our networks, don't we, of people, and our go-to people for different things. They don't have this luxury. So within the review, there needs to be an acknowledgement of this, and there needs to be a stage, not age, approach. There needs to be a stage, not age approach. So if you're 23 and not ready to leave, you don't leave. Simple as that. You get supported. And then when you do leave, there is support for as long as you need that support. Because that is what happens. That's what parents do. They support their children as long as they possibly can. I know people in their 40s who still go to bank of mum and dad when they need money, so that is how it works in the real world, and the reason why so many young people fall through the cracks is because of the cut-off, very abrupt cut-off of support. And I know many local authorities and leaving care people will claim it's not abrupt. It's not abrupt to you, but it is abrupt to the young person, and that's what's really important to remember. So there needs to be a lot more support. My idea was, which was muted, I muted to lots of people, and this would be for all care leavers, but the focus will be on the younger ones. There needs to be a befriending service. So this would be something ran by an organisation in the volunteer and community sector, nothing to do with the local authority or the government. That would be funded fully from local authority and or government, a variety of sources, Department of Health, the clinical commissioning group. And that would be older, not necessarily old like me, but older care leavers and who have left the system, and perhaps people who were foster parents as well, and they will act as volunteer befrienders, and basically a young person would be matched with this befriender, and this befriender will do things like come to their new accommodation, make sure they were okay, make sure there was food in the fridge, make sure they'd set up their bills, make sure that they knew what they were doing, helped them out with stuff like that. Maybe went to the supermarket with them, helped them do a food shop, took them to hospital appointments, doctor's appointments, made sure they got a doctor's in their new area where they're living, check on them, even if it was just to, obviously we're in the midst of COVID, but when things return to normal, go out to the local cafe and have a snack and a coffee, or walk around the park, or go and see a film together or something. But this would be a adult who's been through it themselves, or they've helped people through it because they were foster carers, and they would be that young person's befriender for as long as they needed that person. There could also be an element of it for the older ones, like me. I feel very isolated often, so this would be perhaps someone I could go and meet for a coffee and have a chat with. Or we could go to see a film together or a play or whatever it was, But this would be a thing in the volunteering community sector, and I would call it a befriending service of sorts. Now, this will not be formal mental health support. There will be an element of mental health support. So they will need to have basic counselling skills or some kind of training around that, and obviously safeguarding as well, all of that stuff. But that would be what they would do. And they would be there for that young person. It would be nothing to do with the local authority, basically, because many young people, many care experienced people haven't had good experiences of a local authority, and that will hopefully be a place for them to feel that they matter, because that is what they don't feel. They don't feel they matter, basically. They feel that they're just, at whatever age, cast aside, and no one gives a shit about them anymore, So that's it. There may be a follow-up one where I talk about my experience of the care system and how I feel it damaged me more, in terms of my mental health. All right, thank you.